Here we are. Now here we are, not in shorts, I'm in a sweatshirt in a basement in Connecticut, and all I can really think about is opening this whiskey. So,
yeah, which whiskey is it?
Welcome, everyone viewing. Welcome.
I'm
in a weird mood today. Whoa, that is some solid aluminum. Do you hear that? That is like a solid aluminum. So I'm drinking the green spot right there.
Green spot.
Yeah, the green spot.
Okay.
It is a single pot still Irish whiskey. Actually, and I mean, if anyone knows this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is actually made by the makers of Jameson. I think I've had this before. I think I had it at the Dead Rabbit in New York, which my favorite bar ever, probably. Irish bar in Wall Street.
Yeah, they need to drink a lot there.
And they, what I really liked about it is, Irish whiskey is an interesting one. I feel like everyone knows that there's a ton of different scotches and a ton of different bourbons. I don't think at least I didn't know that there were so many different options for Irish. When I think of Irish, I think of Jameson and maybe one or two others. I mean, I know a bunch of others now, so it's hard to know what I would and would not think of, but I think of Jameson, right? There's different styles of Irish. There's different brands of Irish. I didn't know about it. And so I went to this bar with Kimmy. We did a weekend, back before the world ended, and we could do that. And we happened to stay in Wall Street just because we're like, whoa, we've never stayed in Wall Street before. Let's do that. And we're there on a Friday night, Saturday night, something like that. Wall Street's the deadest place in the world on the weekend. No wonder it was so cheap.
Yeah.
But they got this one place called the Dead Rabbit, which is right down there on Wall Street. Near Wall Street, not on Wall Street, because Wall Street's an actual street, but in that district, right? And it's an Irish bar. And they have all this grit stuff. It's supposed to be sawdust. I don't know if it's actually sawdust or something similar. I remember we asked them, but I don't remember.
I wonder why.
After that. But they have it all over the floor. It feels very, kind of like this, Irish pub, right? What are you drinking tonight, by the way?
You do have an Irish pub in your basement.
I do. I am so in love with this bar down here. It's the greatest thing about this entire house. What are you drinking tonight before I finish the story?
This one is called the Brown Dot, a.k.a. Old Scout.
Old Scout.
It's a bourbon.
Old Scout. Okay.
It's hot.
It's hot.
It's hot.
Yeah, what are you doing on the alcohol? This is a 40 ABV, so 80 proof over here. If it's hot, you're looking 50, what? Like a 100 proof?
I don't see the proof on here, but it's 58% alcohol.
Okay, double the percent. That's the proof.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty hot. It's pretty hot.
It's hot.
So we're at this Irish bar, right? And I sit down at the bar, and all I see is Irish whiskeys. I'm like, oh my God, I did not know there were so many Irish whiskeys. And so talking to the bartender, they have some flights there, and the bartender was incredibly helpful. Suggested this good flight for me and had some great whiskeys. This older guy next to me leans over to Kimmy and says, "You better get that guy a pillow because he's going to end up on the ground after that." And I'm like, "Sir, you do not know me. This is just 3 whiskeys. It's only 3. I did not end up on the ground." So, if you're that old guy that's listening, don't judge a book by its cover.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, "Fuck you."
No. They actually are world famous, I think, for their Irish coffees, which we got a complimentary Irish coffee, and they were very good. We ended up liking the bartender so much that we tipped him 100% of our bill, which was around $100.
Wonderful. Hey, that's quite the service you received.
Yeah, and like when you can do it, right? No,
Yeah.
but that place is amazing. I cannot wait to go back there. I'm very excited, especially now, like over the last like year or two, I've really expanded my horizons and knowledge of whiskey, right? So I've been doing all this talking. I haven't actually tried this damn thing. So, oh, that smells delicious, though.
What is it? What is it the equivalent of? Is it like a fancy Jameson?
So, I watched a thing about Jameson today. I'll explain to you the difference. That is delicious. That's like Christmas in a glass. Holy crap, that's really good.
All right. How does it rank with the McKenna?
That's hard because they're different categories. So you have like his chocolate and vanilla. No, I don't know any of that crap.
Oh my God. Get the fuck.
No, but there's like you get more of a maltiness on this one. You know, so like a little bit more of like almost like an aroma of a scotch, if that makes sense. Is it good to describe whiskey tasting notes with other whiskey tasting notes? This is like whiskeys on whiskeys. Like there's definitely a little maltiness to it, but it's smooth and good and delicious. You need to try this. It's very good. So okay, so Green Spot is made by the same people that make Jameson. So I watched a whiskey drive video where they toured the Jameson distillery, and so Jameson is known for their triple distillation. So they actually distill it 3 times, and they start cutting. Do you know the process of distillation much?
I do not.
Okay, so I'm like an uber nerd on this stuff, right? That's why I'm so.
I figured you would know. You would know about this.
So I took a tour of a distillery up in Seattle one time, a while back. Actually, before I worked at Green Bits. This was right before we started Green Bits. So like the whole like cannabis thing was just starting up there. Anyways, not related to this story. Welcome to the podcast. So I went and toured this distillery, the 2 Bars distillery. And so we got to see the whole process, which I've never seen before. So basically they put their mash, which is some combination of stuff. They were making moonshine there. So it was primarily corn. You know, if you're doing a rye, it's primarily rye, and the mash is what basically makes most of the flavors in the whiskey. And they ferment that very much like you would ferment beer or wine. And at the end of that process, they basically have something equivalent to beer or wine. But what turns it into high proof liquor is they take that and they put it into a still, which boils it. And a still is designed in a way so that when it boils, the condensation comes up. It's just the alcohol that comes out. So the alcohol will boil out, basically. And so it comes down this little tube. And what happens is the very beginning of the flow of alcohol is extremely high proof. Like the sort of stuff that'll make you go blind, right? Like this is why in the day, moonshiners could go blind, right? Because cutting is a very dangerous thing. They don't actually taste it. They'll run their finger over it and like smell it or like, like they're pros at this. It sounds way less professional the way I'm describing it, but they're really good at this. So that's cutting it. So like the higher quality stuff is typically cut in a much smaller amount, right in the middle, where it's a lot more tasty and a lot less alcohol-y. So that's cutting, because the end is a lot higher proof, and the beginning is a lot higher proof, and the middle is the better tasting, lower proof stuff. So Jameson distills 3 times, so they don't cut on the first batch, but they start cutting on the second batch, and then they cut again on the third batch. And they even have different style stills. They have a vertical pot still on the first 2, and then a horizontal pot still on the third. And they literally have these giant pot stills, and they are identical to the original pot stills that Jameson was created with back in the day. because the shape and the size and everything about the still has been proven to affect the flavor profile. So even if they wanted to use a lot more smaller stills, they couldn't and get the same flavor profile, which is fascinating. Like distillation is as much art as it is science, which I think is really interesting. Right.
Did you hit the broadcast button, by the way?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did.
Just wanted to make sure.
Why?
Because I'm on it right now. I don't see anything.
Yeah, it's definitely there. Live. 10 and a half minutes. But now you got me paranoid. Now you got me paranoid.
This is episode.
All right.
This is 35, right?
Yeah. Okay. So Jameson, while I look this up too, is a combination of pot still and other types. Right. So Green Spot is just a pot still. It's a single pot still. Whereas Jameson is more of a blend. That's pretty much the biggest difference.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Anyways, so now we've spent about a quarter of our podcast me just talking about Irish whiskey. So there's that. Financial Illiterates, Stonks Only Go Up, episode 35, live. But you're right. It's like, what's going on? Where am I streaming to? Well, okay, so...
Someone's channel is getting some live content right now.
It's possible. Okay, we have 2 on here. So, there we go. Okay, it is on there. You just may have to search through another video to find it. So I don't know what's been up with YouTube Studio lately, but I actually had to open this in incognito mode to start this thing, because when I switched to our channel, the Financial Illiterates channel, for some reason when I try and schedule a broadcast, it like will want to put it on mine. Yeah, and I don't understand why it's showing 2 on there, because I literally only see 1 on the actual YouTube Studio. No clue, but it does say we're live, and I saw it on there.
Oh, there it is. I found it.
It's like super weird, so I had to open it in incognito mode. It's annoying, but we are live, and that is Irish whiskey in a nutshell.
I found it. We're good. We're doing it live. I did find the Green Spot whiskey too for sale. That might be a holiday treat.
It is very good. Yeah, it's not the cheapest. It was like $52 for this bottle, I think.
It's going to cost me about $60 out here. The West Coast liquor tax. Lister tax.
Yeah, we got quite a tax on stuff over here too. I told you how much that Buffalo Trace cost at the store I went to.
No, how much was that?
It was like $40 or $50.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. You said you can get it for $20. I'm like, well, screw you.
Yeah. Our income tax is higher though.
It is. So I was actually doing some math earlier. I was curious. So I watched Graham Stephens' recent video on taxes, and so I was curious what my total income tax difference was from California to Connecticut, and then I was curious about Florida. So my current income, which I think the number I used was like $386,000, which is basically what Kimmy and I both make together pre-tax. It was like a $5,000 difference going from California to Connecticut. So not significant. If I moved from Connecticut to Florida, it's a $20,000 difference.
That's significant.
That's significant. It's more significant than I thought it would be. I didn't think it would get really significant until I was over like $400 or $500 a year. But it was it was significant.
You could move there and then have a $20,000 weekend in Vegas if you really wanted to.
I could, yeah.
Because
I could actually do that, yeah.
You should probably spend it on other things, but you could do that.
You should, but
you could.
I mean, at some point, that trip's happening. Probably our listeners don't. I mean, all of our listeners, they don't know about this trip that I have, right? So, Kimmy and I have this goal of when we make enough, and that number is fungible. I don't know what that is yet. I want to take a like, probably 50's too low, like $50,000 to $150,000 trip to Vegas with just like our closest group of friends that have like supported us through the ages, you know, like the like charter the private jet out there, or like a party bus out there, like something crazy, stay in like a nice suite, do all the stuff in Vegas that you'd never do. And I'll probably never do again because it's going to be a ridiculous amount. Like we totaled it up one time and it was like, I think it was like $500,000 or something like that.
Yeah. I think that was the number that stuck in my head. You're like,
I didn't want to
think $500,000 Vegas. I think $500,000 Vegas trip could be possible.
And so like, that's like one of the things, you know, like when I reach that point where I'm like, where I could actually do that and not get sick in my stomach, I want to. Like I said, it won't be a regular thing for us because that's ridiculous. Oh, probably won't. Never say never again. Any Five Logos West friends?
This is now your singing hour, performance hour.
That was it. It was my singing 30 seconds. Yeah, so I'm not let down by this whiskey. I learned... This is just happy Thanksgiving, guys. This is the whiskey hour this week, apparently. The drink hour, I guess, because this next one doesn't involve a whiskey.
The Thanksgiving edition.
2 new drinks.
Was one of them involving a New York area?
The Manhattan, yes. Manhattan, which I thought about making before this, but I didn't want the very like unique flavors of the Manhattan to ruin this. So I might have one after this. And then the Sangria is what it's called.
Yes.
The Sangria, which is a 3 ounces cognac, 1 ounce port, 1 ounce orange juice. And I'm pretty sure that's everything. No,
I gotta try this because the orange juice just seems like it would throw me off. So, I'm with you until the orange juice.
Sangria. And a 1/4 ounce simple syrup. I knew there was simple syrup in there. Think Sangria. Think a stronger, less fruity Sangria. Which is basically what it was. Like a Sangria was the original version. And then a Sangria, which what this is like an iteration there. And then, you know, we sent it over to America and we're like, throw a bunch of fruit and crap in it and just put wine. That's good enough. No, this it's got 3 ounces of cognac in it, dude. This is like no joke.
I love me some cognac.
It's pretty tasty. Kimmy was a big fan of it. Depending on what time this podcast ends tonight, I might make another one tonight. Who knows? I don't know.
The night is young.
Okay. So we've I know, I'm just like I haven't so everyone's like on vacation this week, so I haven't got to talk to people so far this week, and I'm like I'm just over here like missing human attention. So
all the smart people are on vacation right now.
I know, right? I'm like, did no one tell me we were supposed to take the whole week off? I don't know. So I started investing in crypto, right? That's the thing that happened. So I started investing in crypto, like 2 weeks ago, something like that. I think it was.
Yeah.
So I'm just pulling up the crypto real quick. So Bitcoin over the last week has gone up 8%. And what I hold most of my crypto in is Ethereum, which over the week has gone up now only 24%, but it was up 32% earlier today. In a week. I've made probably $500 to $600 from crypto this week. It's insane. It's crazy. Yeah. And then holding it in BlockFi, I'm also earning 6% interest. And that 6% interest is being paid out in Bitcoin and Ethereum. So as that accrues, it's also going up 30%.
Yeah. It just multiplies.
It's like just printing money, man.
Getting in on the gold rush.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's I think I've made a lot more sense of it. I'm working on the video outline right now on like how to buy and transfer crypto, because I think it's still like an overly complex process. And I've kind of been working through like some of the basics of it, and it is complicated, but I think I understand it a bit better. And I think like what I mentioned with the podcast with Lo, my biggest realization was it's a currency, not a stock.
Right.
Like if you look at it like a stock, which most people still do, it's not right.
I think that's even the media. Everything I see reported on the media, they're reporting on it like it is a stock.
Exactly. Like imagine if people were reporting on the euro the same way. People would look at them like they're idiots.
It'd be weird.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of the criticism around crypto are people who don't understand how to evaluate it as an asset class, right? Because they're looking at it as like they're trying to compare it to like, oh, the S&P or the Dow. It's like it's not a stock.
Yeah, it's like it's this weird like half thing right now, right? Like you can't use it as easily as you could a euro, right? Like you can't buy as many things with it, though you can buy quite a few things with it now. But everyone ties it so heavily back to the dollar. Like everyone views it like a stock. It's kind of this weird in between where it's like a currency, but kind of people treat it like a stock. But then the really smart people treat it like gold. And that's, I think, the happy medium for this right now. I think in the future it might become even further towards like the euro or other currency. But I think gold is the best analogy at the moment, especially with Bitcoin, less so with Ethereum, because Ethereum doesn't have any cap on how many coins can be mined.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's been
all of the Bitcoin
going great.
Is all of Bitcoin mined yet?
No. It's still going to be a long time before that happens. So they go through these things called halvenings, like half, but the plural-ish version of it. So it's a halvening, halvening. Pronounce that well. So they actually just went through one of those, and what that does is it basically makes mining a coin twice as hard. And I think there's a couple of these left still before they're all mined. But there are still a ton of like pretty reputable places calling north of 100,000, sometimes 300,000 per coin by like the end of next year. And we just hit 19,000. And we've gone up 2K in the week, right?
Yeah.
Like when I was buying in most of mine at like 16K, and now they're north of 19. So, well, if it does that, that's just nuts. That's just nuts. Then on top of it, stonks are just like through the roof.
Yeah, what the hell's going on with the stonks right now?
Dude, I was so stoked that my taxable account crossed 160 the other day. Now I'm at 163. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Dude, my total portfolio is now crossed over 210, I believe it was, today when I checked. Yeah, I was very stoked about that.
Yes. I mean, yeah, mine was up today too, and I was very happy.
That's what she said.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Bravo, that was good. Very good.
Yeah, no, so it's going well. Okay, so I want to talk about this because I'm just super excited about the opportunity to do this, and just like kind of what it says about my position in life right now. And it's not something I ever thought would be like a thing, really. Mm-hmm. But so I'm going to be on the Millionaires Unveiled podcast, which I'm super excited about. So anyone that doesn't know, actually, you know what? I feel like it was like Lo that introduced me to this podcast. Didn't he mention that?
Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised. He's pretty plugged into a lot of these things.
I feel like it was Lo that mentioned this, because I was listening to that We Study Billionaires podcast, and I think I came across it from him. I think. But anyways, I started listening to this Millionaires Unveiled podcast, and it's good. They release regular content where they interview sort of the quote-unquote everyday millionaire, right? So, like, there's been a couple of, like, military people on there. There's, like, a big range of people. Most of them less ambitious in their target numbers than I am. But, well, ambitious is not the right word. They just have a lower final target than I do. Which is completely okay. Because things. Anyways, I was listening to one. And they mentioned like, hey, anyone else with a net worth of like $1 million or roundabouts that, if you're interested in being on the podcast, shoot us an email at whatever it was. It was like millionairesunveiled@gmail.com. And I'm like, why not? I know how to make a clickbait title. So I put in the subject, Startup Millionaire. And I proceed to tell them that I am technically a millionaire and 95% of my net worth is tied up in private equity of the company that I started. And maybe that's interesting to you. Maybe it's not. Feel free to reach out. Turns out they did. So I'm going to be recording with them on the 1st of December, and I'm very, very excited.
Boom.
Get to be on a podcast about millionaires, and I'm the guest.
I know. It's a milestone, man.
Right? I know. I'm like it feels like weirdly like it makes it official, even though it's a podcast no one's really ever heard of. Not no one, in case they listen to this podcast, but not no one, but like, the average person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not everyone's heard of their podcast as much as our podcast, obviously, but
we have all the viewer now.
We have all, I mean, I don't even think it's a real viewer, though. If you're a real person watching this right now, can you just type in the chat real quick and say hi?
Or say real person.
Yeah, a real person, or these guys suck, or anything. So, yeah, I'm excited about that.
That is quite the milestone. Congratulations.
It's pretty cool. I have some other things
Stonks
to update on that too,
up.
but I can't do it on the podcast this week. Maybe in a couple of weeks I can give you an update on some things there.
Some haps.
Yes. So what's new in the Ginance world? That's the word I'm going to use. The Ginance world. I told you I'm in a funky mood today, dude. To be clear, this is my first drink today.
I feel like I should have another channel called Personal Ginance.
You should. And it's just YouTube shorts. And it's you in shorts talking about finance.
Ginance. It's my take on
Welcome to my shorts on Ginance, where I wear shorts and I talk about Ginance.
I don't know. I wish I had more on the investment front, but my focus has been on the thing that is making me money, and that's the JOB right now.
The JOB.
I just crossed the 1 year mark. Crossed the 1 year mark.
Wow. How'd that feel?
Vested some shares.
How'd that feel?
It was good. It was like a milestone.
Bittersweet? Mine was bittersweet.
No.
Mine was bittersweet. Mine was bittersweet. I'm like,
good.
Yeah, vested. You mean I stayed here for a year? That's all it's been?
This has been a good... I mean, it's been like we're growing. We're growing fast. So it feels good to have... It's like, it's a milestone, Put a stake in the ground there. Keep moving forward.
Nice.
But,
so you vested options, yeah?
My options, yeah.
Did you ever find out the numbers I told you to find out?
I have some.
Okay.
I have some.
We don't have to. Yeah. We shouldn't reveal those on a podcast. That's, but the numbers, for context, anyone that's listening, because I think this is stuff that a lot of people don't know. When you're working in a startup, you get option grants, which typically vest at a 4-year vesting schedule, 1 year cliff, and then they vest monthly after that. Is it similar to what yours is?
Yep.
So after 1 year, you get a quarter of your options vested. And an option is basically just the option to buy a share at a set price, which is called the strike price. So say Justin's strike price, which I honestly do not remember these numbers, so this is probably not his strike price. Say his strike price is 5 cents a share. He can exercise those options, and say he's got 1,000 vested. He could exercise those options, pay 5 cents times 1,000 to get 1,000 shares. So he would be able to spend, what's that math, $50 to get 1,000 shares? Is that right?
Yeah.
Hey, I did math in my head quickly. Oh, I'm so proud of myself. I never do that right in my YouTube channel.
Just engineering things.
Damn it. No, I am not good at math. You should see some of the videos I have to correct myself on. So you exercise the option to get the share, and then you have the share. Lots of people think that like just because you vested options, it means something. It literally means nothing. Like it's just a piece of paper. It's not even paper because it's all digital now.
It's an option.
Yeah.
Once you
it's just like buying
option,
a call option on Tesla, like Wall Street's Bets does. This is like Wall Street Bets, except way less liquid. They think they're doing crazy stuff over there. They haven't worked at a startup. So then you can exercise the option, then you get the share. But what people don't think about when they get these options is a lot of times in the employment contracts, they'll oftentimes tell you the strike price, which is good to know. And then they'll tell you the number of shares. And then they'll be like, oh man, dude, I got 10,000 shares. I got 10,000 option grants. And my question to them is always like, of how many outstanding? And like nine out of 10 people do not know the answer to that question. And it's a very important question because 10,000 shares of a company that has 20,000 outstanding shares is massive. You're never going to get that. That's ridiculous. But if it's got 20 million outstanding shares, well, your ownership percentage is very small. Like the number of shares doesn't matter. The ownership percentage matters. And that's something that you need to know. And every time your company raises, that number goes up. It's like the Fed when they print money.
The number of shares. Yeah. That's when they talk about dilution.
Yeah. I actually realized the other day that the Fed printing money is the same thing as a private company raising money.
Similar things happen.
Like they literally print new shares.
It's like the money that you have becomes less valuable.
Yeah.
Inflation happens.
It's startup inflation is what it is. Your shares become less valuable. You still have the same number. It's just a lot smaller percentage. So now if the company sells for $1 million, you get a smaller percentage of that $1 million. So like I went from at one point owning 15% of Greenbits to now I own like in the 3 to 4% range. And that's because we've raised a couple of times and there's dilution. Dilution sucks. And there's your education for the night.
There's your startup finance.
Yeah, exactly.
Education.
Yeah, I have a video that I want to do on this sometime.
Should.
I have so many
startup
videos.
Topics.
I need to figure out how to do my videos this week, dude. I had like the most massive writer's block yesterday and today. I haven't produced a single outline. And then, it's like there's a holiday this week. I don't know if you know that. There's a holiday this week. And so I'm not going to be able to record really Thursday and probably Friday. So it's like I'm probably going to have to record 4 videos next week. It's realistically probably where I'm at. Sorry.
I've thought about getting up
5
super early and just recording middle of the evening.
Middle of the evening?
I'll just say middle of the night, but it sounds the same thing, right? Or is evening just before night?
I think evening is just before night, maybe?
It sounded cool, though. Middle of the evening.
Middle of the evening? But middle of the evening, that just sounds like dinner time.
That sounds like right now.
Yeah. It's like...
I'm going to get up early. Okay. What about middle of the morning, then? Wouldn't that be earlier than middle of the night?
I don't know. It depends on when morning starts, I guess. I don't know. Wow, we're having some real profound conversations tonight.
Middle of the night, then. We'll just go with the standard phrase.
Yeah, I need to get my outlines done tomorrow morning, and hopefully I can get a video recorded tomorrow. We'll see. But it's harder because everyone's home now. Luke, he was sick for a couple of days, so we didn't send him to school. We went to school today. But then Kimmy and I had to take Jake and go look at countertops, and tomorrow we don't have to do that, but Luke's only got a half day. So if I can get it done in the first half of the day at a point in time at which they are out of the house for like 10 minutes, this is why the outline's got to be like done. It's got to be done. Just like boom, boom, record, press buttons and go.
Yep.
Like just get it done. So we'll see. But I got to get some outlines written first. So hopefully my 5 a.m. wake up tomorrow will be outlines. Plural. The how to buy and transfer Bitcoin. Crypto. You're going to say crypto, I think, probably. And the five money mistakes you need to make.
Oh, that's an enticing title.
I came up with that one a long time ago, and I haven't done it yet. The concept is 5 things that I've done that have been very successful for me that would typically be frowned upon or called mistakes. Things like what's the opposite of diversification? Singlification?
Non-diversification. There you go.
Non-diversification. Things like that. Things like going into massive credit card debt.
These are mistakes you need to make?
Yep. Well, maybe not need. But if
that you can learn from.
I would say if the circumstances are correct, you should. Like, should I go to $30,000 of credit card debt right now? No. Should I have done it when I started Greenbits? Yes, and I did, and it paid out handsomely. Well, hopefully it will.
Potentially
it will. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. In like the non-diversification, 95% of my net worth is in one single illiquid asset. But I think that worked out very well, because had I not done that, I would probably be, I don't know. Well, actually, there's a bunch of different things, but assuming everything else is equal, probably like $400,000, $500,000 in net worth potentially, versus my 2.8 right now. However, if I wouldn't have started that company, you and I wouldn't have met. We wouldn't have gone down this financial path. I might still just be living paycheck to paycheck. So with my net worth basically being zero.
So I think it worked out.
Yeah, that's the idea. Like, I think this is kind of like my channel is like almost like the anti-finance channel, sort of. It's like the finance anti-finance ish. Like I feel like there's a lot of gospels being preached, and my job is to show that they're not gospel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different tools and a lot of different methods, and you need to pick and choose the right things for you in your situation.
I think that's some merch, dude. Some anti-finance finance club.
And the anti-finance finance club. That's a good one.
That is actually really good. I like that. We should make that. I have the font and everything. I think I'm going to make a couple just for fun.
Make it. Do it.
I have the font and everything from when I made the sweatshirts for the muscle car group.
Do it. If Justin makes it, I'm going to throw this link in the description, and go buy our first merch.
The merch.
The Anti-Finance Finance Club of the Financial Illiterates. That's good. I like that.
Good.
I mean, with how much whiskey and swearing is on our channel, we're never going to get monetized, so we need something.
Yeah. YouTube's like, we're not going to monetize these degenerates.
No, they're not. Everyone's like, if you wanna get the highest CPMs and get monetized, don't drink, don't swear. It's like, oh, okay. Post regularly. We're better at that now.
Yeah.
But.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So what else you got?
I wish it was a more exciting week, but
I know.
I'm looking forward to.
We had to do this early because you're going and like getting a beach house. Talk about not being rich. Beach house.
Airbnb.
San Diego.
COVID times mean extra good deals on Airbnbs. Beach house Airbnbs.
You're gonna be in an
I'm
Airbnb.
just looking forward to.
I'm gonna be doing an oil change on the RV.
Oh, nice. I did oil changes last weekend. Those are fun.
I got to do an oil change on the RV and install our wireless internet on the RV because we're going on an RV trip soon.
Dude, RV trips sounded like a lot of fun. I would dig an RV trip.
They are pretty fun, to be honest. They're pretty fun. This one's going to be less fun than the last one because we're going to try and just like book it down there. We're going to try and do a 2-day drive. So we'll see. New England is tricky in the RV because there's a lot of roads in New England that are passenger cars only because their bridges are not tall enough.
Oh.
Yeah, and Google Maps has no way to filter those out. So it's like I was literally following Google Maps at one point, driving up to an on-ramp. It's like passenger cars only, nothing over 8 feet. I'm like, dude, we're 11 feet.
Oh, shit.
And then you pull back onto the road and Google Maps reroutes and it's like, turn around and get on that thing I just told you. And you're like, crap, I'm on the highway. I don't know how to like what to do. How do you navigate without it?
That is not an option.
But once you get down past Jersey, it's not really a problem. It's a New England thing. I don't get it. Like just raise the bridges.
New England, man.
Apparently cars weren't that big back when we built our bridges. You know, because we have heritage and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We just have good weather.
Weren't you almost on fire a few weeks back?
That's not weather, dude. That's just natural disaster.
Oh, so there wasn't smoke filling the air. Gotcha.
Yeah. That's not weather.
Wait. No, there was.
It's not weather, dude. That's just natural disaster. Sun was out.
Uh-huh.
Fires were burning. It was nice and warm.
No, the sun was definitely out. The wind was blowing. It's having a good old time.
It's a nice 70 degrees here.
I don't know. Should we keep it short this week? Let people go early, enjoy their Thanksgiving. You know, all the people watching.
Yeah. Make sure to listen to this right before you eat your Thanksgiving dinner.
Right before. Listen to it while you're eating your Thanksgiving dinner. Be thankful for the financial illiterates. And if you really want to be thankful, use any of those links down in the description. You can get $10 in finance. You get free stocks at Webull, at Robinhood. There's a sign-up link for Lending Club if you need to get rid of some credit card debt like I did last Christmas.
Buy our merch.
Yeah, there's going to be some link to the Anti-Finance Finance Club. And
I can't wait to make that.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that too. So have a good holiday. We'll see you next week. Assuming Justin's back from his overly expensive vacation.
Yes. It's going to be fucking nice.
See you guys.